This is the Horror Movie Show on hmpod.com, hosted by Jerry and Mark, your one-stop shop for all horrible movie reviews. From the latest blockbusters and independent films to classics, let Mark and Jerry convince you the world is a dangerous place, though often good for a laugh. Now come and listen to the Horror Movie Show, if you dare.
Hey there, folks. Jerry here.
And Mark.
Doing another episode of the Horror Movie Show on hmpod.com and Eli Roth's The Crypt and iTunes and all over the place. In fact, it's on right now. Let's listen.
I can hardly wait.
What are they going to talk about? Well, first thing they're going to talk about is...
Do you get any feedback from that political rant you went on a little while ago?
No, I didn't. I think people have just learned to ignore my political rants.
You mean they're not coming to lynch?
No, not yet. But if I am murdered, I would like everyone who lives in the American South to be a suspect. I would like them all blood tested, fingerprinted.
Get the semen.
Oh, absolutely, for men and women.
Because we
all
know
ages.
We know what they're going to do to you.
Yes, that's all right. That's right. Let's talk about some movies.
Okay.
We've got a big budget movie, Transcendence, 2014 movie, directed by Wally Pfister, written by Jack Paglin. It stars the always lovely Johnny Depp as Dr. Will Castor. Rebecca Hall plays his wife Evelyn Castor. Paul Bettany plays the third smartest man in the world and their best friend, Max Waters. Cillian Murphy plays a high-level government cyber police officer, Agent Buchanan. Kate Mara plays Bree, who's sort of a terrorist. Morgan Freeman plays Joseph Tagger. And Cole Hauser plays Colonel Stevens. So a few name actors there. The gist of this movie, as I understand it, and I found it a little hard to follow here and there, but right. The gist of the movie, as I understand it, is that a group of Luddites who do not want computers to have full-on intelligence. They strike all at once around the world and they destroy a whole bunch of the leading labs and scientists who are working on AI.
Right.
And the only one who is left fully functional is Johnny Depp's character, Will Castor. And he's been shot with a radioactive bullet, which is going to kill him, but he's got time to sort of get his ducks in a row. And ultimately upload his mind into a mainframe computer and from there to try to get him uploaded to the internet. And this moment when computer intelligence surpasses the totality of human intelligence, this is what Dr. Castor calls transcendence.
Right.
So, it's a bit of cloak and dagger. There's some spy stuff and depending on which side of the argument you're on, the terrorists may be the heroes.
The feeling I got when I was watching this thing was hell in 2001: A Space Odyssey. It's like, here's this entity. It's just not a computer. It's an entity that can think.
Right.
And you don't know if its logic is on your side or against you.
Yeah. Well, that's
and it's like this uncertainty of humankind.
Yeah.
Is this thing going to decide, hey, humans are irrelevant, they're doing all the wrong things, I'm going to put them straight.
Let's get rid of them.
Or get rid of them. They have a use. They're useful in certain ways.
Right.
I'm going to put them in their place, and they're going to do what I want, and everyone will be happy, quote, unquote.
Right.
And you get that from this movie. Throughout the whole thing,
There's
it's like
paranoia.
You don't know what the heck the Johnny Depp computer personnel's doing.
Right.
You see what he's doing.
Here and there.
And you can see that he's going right into the molecular structure of man.
Yeah, and he's got control of these nano robots.
Yeah, it's like nanobites or whatever they call them these days, where they can go in there and they can fix everything.
Yeah.
So all of pestilence, all of disease, everything everything can be cured now.
Yeah.
Plus, what does he do?
Plus, he's making his own little army.
That's a good thing. But he tacks on this hive mentality thing.
Right.
That's the part that freaks everyone out.
Yeah.
Saying, wait a minute.
Yeah, because he can. Everybody that he's manipulated with the nanites, everybody who he has repaired, and there's like a steady stream of people in wheelchairs.
Yeah,
and
the sick,
head trauma, and so on, who are showing up. He's fixing them. But he leaves like a plug in them so that he can occupy their bodies.
Yes, he can manipulate. He's enhanced them so that he can download things into them.
And some of them are super strong, and some of them are super fast. And so he's making his own X-Men, essentially a potentially super army.
But that's the thing. If he couldn't download
very alien.
Yeah, if he couldn't download his essence into someone else, or he didn't make that hive mentality, that what they call, everything would have been fine. Everyone would have said, hey, he's doing a great job. Yeah. But he puts that little extra.
Makes it creepy.
You wonder, is he going to take over the world?
Right.
You know?
And that's it.
And humans who are trusting sort that they are, of course, think, we got to destroy this thing.
Yeah, I know, because he's going to be like we are. And that is, once he's got ultimate power, he's going to be evil.
Yeah.
Merely a force for evil. So we have to stop him.
So you find that these different factions are coming together that used to be against each other.
Yeah.
To be each other's friend.
That was probably the most interesting thing, because to me, this movie just stole ideas from a lot of other movies. As Amazing Trixie and I are watching it the other night, we get to a different scene, and I'd say, oh, that's from such and such a movie, and the next scene she'd go, oh, look, there's a little Terminator. And just one after the other, each scene would remind us of a better movie. That's a good way of wrecking
a movie.
Well, it seemed too obvious to me. I did not think this was a good movie. I was disappointed with it.
I was entertained by it. It was
kind of made me angry.
Yeah, of course it does.
It's not logical.
And I played along with it, but it was that whole thing about, to the very end, is this guy a menace or somebody good?
Right.
And that was the whole question behind the whole movie.
Yeah, I think that is what they wanted, but I think they failed because ultimately it's just didn't hold together logically. I thought that there were too many holes in it, and too many holes that were sort of plugged quickly and easily without a good explanation, just like fix. I don't know.
Didn't it remind you a little bit of Her?
Yes, that was one of the movies that we commented on. It reminded me a bit of that movie with Christopher Walken and Natalie Wood, Brainstorm. It did remind us at one point of the Terminator movie. So
how about The Matrix? A little bit of The Matrix.
Yeah, a little bit of that. Johnny Depp, I thought, was wasted in the role. I didn't think he was particularly good.
His deadpan delivery was very robotic.
Yeah, it was.
I think he did that on purpose.
He's kind of autistic or something right from the very start.
Yeah.
He's a little emotionally withdrawn.
There's a love story happening in this movie as well between Johnny Depp and his wife. And his wife is trying to believe in him outright. Without any doubts.
This to me is the real main plot point. This is the real question of this movie. Can love survive death? It's bigger than artificial intelligence. It's bigger than good and evil. It's, can Johnny Depp's character, can the brilliant Dr. Castor actually live beyond his physical death? And he finds a way to come back. Science is advancing so quickly once he has transcended that he is actually able to build himself a body.
Yeah.
Now, is that creepy?
Yeah.
Now your dead husband is talking to you, and he's back, and he's flesh. Has he actually found a way to come back from the dead? In order to defeat death, do you just have to upload your personality, build a fresh, cancer-free young body, and then load your mind up into it? But because it isn't quite that. He is still in the computer. He is still, like, in the world.
Yeah.
But he's also sort of powering up this Johnny Depp body. So it brings up interesting questions. But really, that's her dilemma. Because she becomes the main human character after he has died.
Yes.
because he's just a computer now. We don't know what he is. She's the human that we're still following, and she would like to still love him. And it's her fanaticism that gets him into the computer that makes the experiment work. Now, here's something that really, really made me laugh out loud. Teresa and I were just killing ourselves about this. Her and Paul Bettany secretly download his personality. They download Castor's personality. They've got it in this computer that was housing Castor's original AI, sort of a female mind. And they've got him in there. For a couple of hours, they're futzing around, and she can't get it to work. So she goes, right, that's it, let's erase it.
Yeah.
There's no question about asking other scientists if maybe they can help, or sleeping on it and trying again the next morning,
Yeah.
Let's go have something to eat and come back and try again. No, she doesn't just want to turn it off.
But she
wants to blank it.
Yeah.
Why? Boy, she gives up easy.
Well, that's another thing.
Because it's just the drama of it. It's, and it's purely for that, and it's a cheap bit of drama.
Here's the other thing I wonder about. Would society in general let a computer amass that much money?
Oh, yeah.
Because he is released to the internet, and suddenly he is doing all these fancy trades, and he's raising billions and billions of dollars, and he's building an installation out in the middle of nowhere. Would the government really let him do that?
The idea is, I think, that nobody can control him. Nobody, short of shutting down
the internet,
the entire world net.
Yeah.
There is no way to stop him. I had great hopes for this because at the beginning, and I don't think I'm giving anything much away here, at the beginning, Paul Bettany's character is sort of tiptoeing through a non-technological world. Like the vines are growing over people's homes, and he says, rumor has it there's phone service in Boston and some power in, Denver or something, but things are far from the way they used to be. So they did shut everything down. They can't rebuild it. There aren't generators. They can't, hardwire the local coal plant up and get electricity.
Exactly.
Again.
They can't blank a disk.
Yeah.
A hard drive. Oh, no.
Give me a break. As if it would be impossible to cobble together technology from 1980 and get us power again.
Yeah.
I don't think so. So I was hoping it was going to be like a real, apocalyptic technological doom story, and it just winds up being this sort of sappy love story, vague mystery, and just lukewarm. I'm lukewarm to it.
Yeah.
Nobody's performance was terrible. In fact, everybody was fine, but just fine. They phoned it in for the most part.
That was the thing. This isn't an exciting movie.
No.
It's a very slow, methodical
Colossus the Forbin Project.
Yeah.
That's another movie that this steals a lot from.
Yeah.
Although it's fairly clear early on that Colossus, the supercomputer, is evil. Whatever its plans for humanity are, it's bad. Whereas this does keep us in the dark, and some things seem really bad and ominous, and some things seem extremely good and hopeful.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't recommend it. I won't be recommending it. But, as you say, it was entertaining. There's lots worse.
Yeah.
But when you got this kind of money and talent, I'm always disappointed when something is just mediocre.
Yeah, I agree. This had the makings of something extraordinary.
Right.
When I saw the trailers, I said, that looks interesting.
Yeah.
And by the time I finished watching it, I'm going, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna be talking soon about Edge of Tomorrow, which is another big money movie starring box office hit Tom Cruise. Without specifically reviewing that, I like Tom Cruise's science fiction movies. I think more often than not he hits the target.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's his science fiction religion or, he seems to be better at it than Johnny Depp, is my point. Johnny Depp is very hit and miss in his career.
He does have some odd movies under his belt.
Yeah. Not all of them good.
Not all of them. No.
Okay, well, we got a pair of movies to talk about next, and these are true horror movies. 2005's Wolf Creek, written and directed by Greg McLean, And the brand new Wolf Creek 2, also directed by McLean, written by him and another fellow, Aaron Stearns. Both movies star John Jarratt as Mick Taylor.
Who's going to be big. I can tell big things are coming from Mick.
He's arguably the most evil Australian since
Paul Hogan.
Paul Hogan, yeah. Who is referenced, his character is referenced in the first one.
And he does have the same mannerisms.
Oh, yes, and virtually the same accent.
And a hat.
Yeah, they both have hats, that's right. They call that a knife? That's a knife!
Yeah.
In the first movie,
it's based on a true story, again.
Okay, it's not based on a true story. It's based on the fact that every year in Australia, a certain number of people vanish. That's as far as the facts go. But there is no Mick Taylor character.
Are you sure?
Well, there's plenty of jerks like that in Australia, I'm sure, as there are everywhere.
And they have big trucks like him.
Big trucks.
Yeah.
And big knives.
Yeah.
Big knives. So,
and he's a good shot, too.
Yes. Oh, hell
God,
yeah.
He's a good shot.
You bitch, you made me wreck my best truck. He is one foul-mouthed
We don't even have to mention anyone else in these movies.
I know.
No, but we will.
He's the star. In the first one, we have a trio. A young man, Nathan Phillips, who plays Ben. Two lovely young women, Cassandra Magrath, who plays Liz, and Kesty Morassi, who plays Christy. And it's pretty much Mick Taylor kidnapping these three people who are camping in the middle of nowhere. He's
Wolf Creek.
Wolf Creek, yes, indeed.
National Park.
Yeah.
Some sort of crater.
Yes, a big meteor crater. It doesn't really enter into the second one. Except
no, not at all.
I don't think they even look at the crater. Oh, I suppose, yes, there's more tourists in the second one.
Yeah.
German tourists at the beginning. And then the second movie is very much similar. He's terrorizing tourists.
Except for, I think the second one is a little more entertaining than the first one.
Did you? Because I saw the first one when it was new, whereas you're coming to it.
Actually, I saw the second one first.
Right.
Because I didn't know we were planning on doing both.
Well, might as well.
Yeah. If you're going to torture me twice.
Absolutely. A good dose of Mick Taylor, clear your rider.
It kind of wrecked the first movie in that I knew who he was.
Yeah.
But before the fact.
Yes, that's right. In the first one, he seems hospitable. He's a rough outback kind of guy, and he's giving them their nice drinks of water and stuff.
And towing them.
And of course, it's the water.
Helping them fix their car, and they're sitting down by a campfire telling stories, and he seems like a real nice guy. He's doing them all these favors, and then they all pass out. Yeah,
and things go downhill. The second movie, I can't say I thought it was as good as the first one, because it seemed very disjointed
first of all,
to me.
Those cops that were big pricks, actually. The cops get their comeuppance because they run across Mick.
Well, I'd say being a douche is one thing. Getting burned to death is maybe a little more severe. Mick really doesn't like being told what to do. Also, a little harder to believe that there wouldn't be, with a couple of dead cops missing in the neighborhood, that there wouldn't be a significantly massive cleanup of the area.
True.
Yeah. Because Mick has been in his little abandoned mining camp long enough that in the second movie, he's got underground tunnels and so on. I mean,
he has bodies packed, piled up.
Yeah.
He's just got them all over the place.
He could have a skeleton sail. He's got so many bits and pieces. He could stock the Melbourne.
But I thought the second one was more interesting because of the whole scene with that one guy and the questions and answers and the little thing going back and forth. It's like this little contest.
A little drinking contest.
Yeah, and there wasn't any of that in the first one.
No.
It was pretty straightforward. The first one was basically these kids get abducted. They are tortured one by one, and one of them escapes.
Right.
And it's always that some of them escape and get caught again. Things like there's a chase, and no matter what they do, they can't get away from this bugger. No. Mick's everywhere.
Yeah.
He's the all-knowing, knowing
like
everything
ghost.
about where you're going to go and what you're going to do, and he's there to stop you.
And he's got the most horrible wisecracks when he catches poor Liz. He decides that he'll tell her the story of the head on the stick.
Yeah.
Which Americans evidently used to do to North Vietnamese prisoners when they wanted them to talk but not run away, and they'd sever their spinal cord. And he does it to her as he's describing it with horrible
glee.
No, I'm thinking the sound effects, the sort of crunches and scrapings against bone, and it is one nasty couple of movies. In the second one, he's torturing German tourists.
Yeah.
So, all right, there's some comedy in it, but the second one, to me, because it doesn't have any of the surprises, and we already know who Mick is, but you saw them in reverse, so I understand that you probably got a bigger kick out of that one.
Yeah, I guess it wrecked the first movie slightly for me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the first movie, like I said, was very simplistic.
Yes, it is.
It was a straightforward, abduction and trying to get away, and somebody finally escaped.
Yeah.
And really no resolution.
No.
And of course, there's no resolution at the end of the second movie because they're going to be making a whole bunch of these things.
Well, it's 8 years. 8 years between the first and the second one.
Yeah, but you can tell Wolf Creek 3 is coming.
Oh, I'm sure.
Mick isn't finished yet.
No, I'm surprised that they waited as long as they did.
And I think Mick has to be tortured a little bit more in the third one, because if he's just, torturing other people, it gets kind of boring.
Oh, I was so angry watching the first one again, and when the girl
has the opportunity
to take his head off his body, and she doesn't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, for Pete's sake.
She's seen what she's doing to that other girl.
Yeah, no.
There's no way, if I had him down, he would not be getting up ever again.
No, you take his head right off his body and throw it away.
And then you burn it, and then you bury it.
And then stuff its mouth with wolfbane and then a stake through the heart.
Chain it up.
Yeah. No, exactly. It's really silly that way. And
the second one didn't have that.
No, the second one moves along at a much faster pace. There's more victims.
There's more
variety.
The second one, I think, is funnier.
Yeah, it is. They're
a lot more comical, and
that is what I was referring to. It isn't just that I find killing Germans to be funny.
Yeah. They present people that you want to get killed. The policeman.
Oh,
the police, I didn't mind them dying at all.
No, not weeping for them.
No. So it's like you're going, oh yeah, you just met Mick. Yeah. You just did something to Mick.
Well,
Let's see what happens.
They're very like the fat cops in the southern states, U.S. where you always think, oh yeah, they're getting what they deserve. So yeah, it's like that. I mean, there's rednecks in Australia that can match any American one from what I hear. I haven't been to Australia. I'd like to go though.
We've seen the movies.
I hear they have beer.
Yes, Fastest.
Crack a tube.
Yeah, a Barbie.
Yes, throw another shrimp. So now we have another movie, and this one is very peculiar. 2012. It's called Final Cut. Make sure when you're looking on IMDb, it's Final Cut and then colon, and then it has a 2-word title in Hungarian.
Yeah, and I
Hölgyeim something.
If you just do a search on Final Cut, it doesn't show up.
Well, you can if you look for all movies containing the words Final.
I did that.
2012, in any case, and it's directed by Hungarian director György Pálfi, written by Pálfi and Zsófia Rutke. But because this movie is made up entirely of very short segments from other movies, most of it is in English. And what isn't in English, it doesn't really matter because it's easy to follow the story.
Yeah, it's a very simplistic. It could not be complex because they're using anywhere from 1 second clips to 5 second clips from other movies to tell a story. It begins with a guy waking up in bed, and it's like one actor lying in bed, and then a shot of another actor lying in bed who opens his eyes, and then
shot of a third actor sitting up in bed, and so on, until, these various actors sort of shuffle across the room into the bathroom. One soaps his face up, the next starts shaving, the third finishes shaving. It's fascinating. And
you're looking at classic movies from the 50s, the 30s, and newer movies like Star Wars.
Right back to silent movies.
And it starts with Avatar. The first face you see is Avatar face.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like they've gone through the whole genres, everything you can think of in these movies. And animations.
Yes.
Animations are thrown in there. Every time Woody Allen showed up, I laughed.
Yeah.
Even though he's not doing anything funny.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Yeah, so the story tells, it's a love story between the dude that we're following, and he doesn't have to have a name.
No.
And he meets a woman, and then there's a misunderstanding between them.
Yeah, they hit each other. They bump into each other to start with.
Yeah, it's a meet cute, as they say. And then they fall in love, and then there's a misunderstanding, and he abandons her, and then it's can they get back together by the end of the story.
And there is a sort of a cheat in this with time.
How do you mean?
Well, they use Superman for one reason. Moving the Earth backwards.
Right. Oh yeah,
I laughed.
I'm not saying it isn't fantastical.
I just laughed when I saw the Earth turn backwards.
It's quite dreamlike, I found, the whole thing, because it has its own internal logic. But it's such a sort of mellow, gentle movie, regardless of all these so many cuts.
Yeah.
I mean, it's edited so quickly and meticulously. They managed to find clips from the most amazing movies, and it's nice to see, actors and scenes and so on from movies that I have no idea what they are. Might be a Greek movie from the 40s.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
but
there's a lot of French movies in there.
Lots, Italian,
and seemed
the occasional Bollywood, which made me chuckle.
It was just.
It's hard not to watch this movie with a smile on your face.
Yeah, but it's funny because when you see Indiana Jones suddenly appear.
Yeah.
It's amazing they didn't have C-3PO in there somewhere, but they didn't. But, they
wouldn't have if it fit.
Yeah.
Well,
they could have made it fit.
but that's it. That, to me, the art of it is that it isn't forced. It is beautifully done. And you look at the credits at the end, and there's hundreds of researchers, hundreds of people who pored over movies looking for specific scenes. We need a scene that goes between Rick from Casablanca and Robert Mitchum from Night of the Hunter, and we're looking for this kind of expression. And people poring over movies until they find, Beau Geste from 1929. Amazing. And I believe it's entirely illegal. I believe the guy broke every copyright law there is to make this movie. But so far, it's sort of existing in a limbo. It can't get wide distribution, but I know it was shown at one of the
film festivals.
No, one of the local artsy film theaters.
Oh, okay.
In their monthly cycle of movies. I'm sorry I didn't see it on the big screen because it's not going to be on the big screen very often.
No, and at the same time, I don't think it's going to draw in a lot of people. So
no,
the guy's not going to make a lot of money.
No.
With this thing.
It seems like a labor of love.
It seems to me maybe he didn't get permission to put everybody in there, but it's almost like a promotion of all those movies.
Oh, it's a love story to movies. It's a tribute to all those movies. Yeah,
exactly. And I think that if you got yourself put into this movie, it's good exposure.
Yeah. I'm sure Marlon Brando is very happy to be in there now that his career is taking off.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying that it's good exposure for the movie, so people will go back and see the movie.
Well, what I found, I had to bite my tongue. This is another one I watched with Trixie, and I had to bite my tongue from just playing like a game out loud where I would name each movie as I recognized it.
Yeah, I was watching it with my son, and every once in a while I go, oh, that's that movie, and this is this movie.
Yeah.
And
but you could also just play name the actor each time a man or a woman actress shows up.
There's a sex scene in this thing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Holy crow.
Yeah.
They take it from, just here and there to very explicit.
Very, yes. That's right.
You swear that they got a couple porn shots in there.
A little X thrown in. Yeah. Which is, to me, it's fair. But it's not a movie for children. That's true enough.
Yeah. So
Awkward. Oh, come on, he's a boy.
Yeah, well, I
Probably even got one of those things.
It didn't last long.
So now, but as far as movies, I might compare this to, what's the name of the movie? It's animated with Keanu Reeves. It's based on a Philip K. Dick book about the weird drug. And you take this drug and, the Keanu Reeves character works as an agent and he wears a suit which is constantly changing the way his outside looks, so it's a perfect disguise. And the fact that the characters are constantly changing in this movie just reminded me of that a little bit. That was a weird movie.
And Gilliam used that sort of effect where he changed the characters in the movie, but he had to because one died.
Heath Ledger died.
Yeah.
Right.
And I can't remember the name of that movie, but that was an interesting effect as well. Jude Law plays the character, Heath Ledger, Johnny Depp, a number of other people play the same character in the movie. Colin Farrell?
Colin Farrell, he played him as well. Yes, Parnassus, Dr. Parnassus.
Yeah,
that's that movie. I would really recommend Final Cut, but it's almost, it certainly can be considered horror. But if you love movies, it's such a beautiful tribute to movies.
Yeah, and there were a few horror movies spliced in there.
Oh, sure, yeah. It really will. It'll just make you chuckle because you can't not see lots of references to movies you like.
Yeah, the thing is that sometimes you're chuckling just because you're going, oh, I can't believe they used that. It's like, holy crow, what's that doing in here?
It is, it's funny. Okay, so we got a movie now. Speaking of weird... It's a 2007 movie called Star Trek of Gods and Men. It's directed by Tim Russ, who played Tuvok, the Vulcan security officer on Star Trek Voyager. Written by Ethan H. Kalk, Sky Douglas Conway, and Jack Trevino. It stars, here's some Star Trek names for you, Walter Koenig as Captain Pavel Chekhov, Nichelle Nichols as Captain Nyota Uhura, Alan Ruck as Captain John Harriman. There's way too many captains. Garrett Wang from Voyager as Commander Garen. William Wellman Jr. as Charlie Evans. He goes right back to the first series of the original Star Trek.
Charlie as
my darling. Damon J. Krall as Gary Mitchell, who goes right back to the very first pilot made with William Shatner.
Yeah.
Not the first Star Trek pilot, but the first pilot with Shatner. Chase Masterson plays Zila. Tim Russ shows up as a slightly younger Tuvok. Ethan Phillips, who was Neelix on Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
He's a data clerk. Sherrock Lofton, who played the son on Deep Space Nine. He plays Sevar. And Grace Lee Whitney is back as Janice Rand. I hope she's more than just a yeoman these days.
I don't remember her.
She was the blonde who slaved for Kirk for a season on the original Star Trek. She had the big high platinum white hair.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, she had kind of a rough life after Star Trek. She got into some trouble and addictions and stuff like that. But she's been back in a lot of the Star Trek projects. Now, this seems like a really elaborate amateur effort to salute the Star Trek universe.
Yes.
Because Kirk is mentioned, I think Spock is mentioned, but none of these characters are in the movie.
No.
The closest we get is Uhura and Chekhov.
Yeah.
Which is sort of...
you recognize these people from episodes of Star Trek.
Yeah.
And they actually based the story on sections of the old original series.
Right.
You know, Charlie...
Or ripped off the original series, depending on what you want to...
Well, I don't know, rip off. No.
It's an affectionate rip off.
Yeah, well, it's a nice way of tying in a storyline to things that already happened.
Yes, yeah.
And I enjoyed the movie, but, you can tell that it is...
Super low budget.
B-rated.
Yeah.
The direction of it was... They would have these little shots of people in the background kind of looking over and doing little things. And I'm going, These guys probably put some money into the film, and they just wanted to be on one shot.
I think a lot of them, it's like homemade Klingon makeup.
Yeah.
And they're fans.
Yeah.
Up.
That's pretty much just a fan.
A lot of it in the background, I think, is fan makeup and stuff.
I think it was fan-driven, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And not a bad effort.
No, it's fun.
And the story's not that bad.
No, it's a fun story.
If it had a little more polish and a little better direction.
And maybe a star.
All those people have done decent work.
I know. I'm giving it a hard time, but it teeters on amateurishness through much of it, but it is great fun, and as a bit of a Trekkie, I enjoyed it.
Yeah. You can't take it too seriously, but at the same time, you shake your head and say, geez, did they actually make this?
Yeah.
They actually did this.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
and I'm sure that Paramount's not happy about it. What the heck?
Yeah, it is odd, isn't it? They tried to make it look somewhat official at the beginning, but it's a little, so far as I recall, it's a little company that distributed it. Yeah.
And they have the original Enterprise.
Yeah.
I love the fake-looking buttons and the diodes and the flashing lights. All from the original series.
Makes you wonder, though, that might be in some fan's bar.
Yeah. It's probably in somebody's basement.
Yeah.
You know, because I saw an article in a magazine where somebody had made their apartment up like the Enterprise.
I've seen that, yeah.
And they have the transporter room.
Yep.
And they had the bridge and all that stuff. And it was fun. I mean, and this looks like somebody recreated it.
Yeah.
And they said, hey, you can use it. You know, come and film here.
Yeah. Please use it.
And most of it was done on, in the decks, in the, small rooms.
Oh, yes, it's very
minimalistic.
Yeah.
And a little bit of on the site. I think they went to the original sites where they shot the original movies out in the desert.
California desert. Yeah, it looks like it.
They used a few shots
where Kirk fought the Gorn and stuff like that. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think they did that on purpose just to, keep it continuity.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's nothing but tips of the hat and nods to the original series. And the fact that they got an actor from almost every one of the Star Trek series to come out and do a little work on it. I'm sure a lot of them have not done a lot of... I haven't seen a lot of these people doing TV work.
Which kind of makes you sad because...
Yeah, a little bit.
A lot of these actors are decent actors.
One hopes they're doing theater or something that they enjoy.
You would hope, because you never see them again doing anything.
Well, that's it, though. I mean, the odds of ever winding up on a popular TV series are very, very slim to begin with.
And having two or three.
And having more than one, you're lucky if you're a well-known face for a few years.
That's the thing about William Shatner that killed me. He said he kept coming up with more series.
More bad series.
Yeah, he had that police series.
T.J. Hooker.
Yeah, T.J. Hooker. And then he was a lawyer in another...
Oh,
series
towards
the end of his career.
With James Spader and all that.
Yeah, I mean, he's done all sorts of different things.
He seems unstoppable.
It's just amazing. And he's a good actor.
Oh, he's fun. He's always been fun to watch.
Yeah.
Plus, he churns out these pseudo-reality shows every 15 minutes. He's got another half-hour
He does
series.
A lot of voice work for what-if science fiction kind of stuff. Leonard Nimoy did that as well.
Yes. Yeah.
They would do anything for a buck, I think. It's when they put out that music when he did his famous rendition of Rocket Man. Rocket Man.
And Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
What were they thinking? But their agents probably said, hey, it's a day's work. You get X amount of money.
Yeah.
Go do it.
After Star Trek, Leonard Nimoy made a point of writing one of his books of poetry or essays, whatever it was, titled, I Am Not Spock.
Yeah.
Well, another few years go by. He changed his mind double quick.
Yeah, he became Spock.
I am Spock. I am.
And he's been Spock in just about every single Star Trek movie.
Yeah, that's right. He's showed up in both the new movies, even if he isn't bothering with a credit.
The guy just won't quit.
No. They're going to put his mind, Leonard Nimoy's mind, into a computer and then download it to Zachary Quinto's body so he can start again.
Here, I thought you were going to say they were going to put it in a jar and then it'll be in Futurama.
Yeah, already there.
Yeah.
Already there. So it's a fun story. It barrels right along, but, I mean, everybody's a captain. and the other thing about the Star Trek world is that our universe, as they call it, is that they have series of books. There's a series of books with Sulu, as the captain of whatever the ship is, which shows up in one of the Star Trek movies. And him and his crew are off, so you could follow their adventures.
The story behind this movie is a time paradox kind of story where... Again, they go to that big donut.
That's right.
That portal that they can run through and go back in time.
Based on The City on the Edge of Tomorrow, written by Harlan Ellison.
There you go.
Two-parter.
That's it. Yeah. And they do the same thing. A guy goes back in time, he changes history, and all of a sudden, there's the dark side of the Federation. Kind of like these people are, what if the Nazis had won the war?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Been there, done that, Star Trek.
Star Trek's done it a couple times, actually, where the negative side of the
possible history,
and them trying to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was really well done because these people had glimpses of their past lives in the other reality when they were in this altered reality, and people that were friends are now enemies, and all these twists that were going on, and people are trying to kill each other and stuff like that, which is really fun. Like you said, fun.
We're going to be talking in the near future about X-Men Days of Future Past, and that has a similar sort of notion of monkeying with time. Yes, I don't mind time travel movies, but it takes away from being science fiction and places it more in the realm of fantasy, because it's
not possible?
Not by any standards that we have.
I thought that they proved that it was possible. Science has proven.
Theoretically, it's possible.
Yeah.
And certainly it seems more possible to step into the past than the future. One theory is that we could only travel into the future as far as a time machine has already traveled. So one has to be invented first before it can start moving forward.
Or backwards.
Yeah, you can believe me too, because I know what I am talking about when it comes to quantum physics and time-space.
To me, it's like a cheat. I mean,
Well, in the original Star Trek movies, it gets so simple. In the original TV series, it gets so simple. Using the backscatter effect, we decided to travel back to 1967 and watch some TV.
Well, Well, that was
we decided to go back and get bagels with a schmear. Captain Kirk knows this family in Montreal. He set us up with all the right stuff. It's just silly. They're not even bothering to make it sound complicated.
But the thing about this is that the future was the past here. It was like their future was in the 80s. And this whole story is happening in the 80s and the 90s.
Right.
It's like, okay. We didn't have that technology back in the 80s and the 90s, but...
I just saw a great cartoon by Dan Ferraro, who does the Daily Bizarro panel, and it's the Star Trek crew travels back in time to 2014, and it's Kirk and Spock standing on a busy street corner with these two idiots laughing at them and calling them names because they've got their communicators. And one guy's saying, look at this guy's cell phone. And the other guy's saying, does it do anything other than just make a call? Kirk and Spock are looking quite upset. That's so funny. Yeah, that's right. It's very primitive by today's standards. It's not even a smartphone.
Yeah, it's tough to judge where technology will be in the next even 10 years.
Because it was like
futuristic.
Very futuristic, and now it does seem, the flip phone seems very old-fashioned.
The communicator, that's what it is, a flip phone.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have a screen.
No, it's so funny. All right, let's wrap this show up and just quickly go over the movies we talked about. Would you recommend Transcendence, Mark?
I would say it's a definite video kind of movie. It's not worth going to the theaters to see.
I go along with that.
It's not a terrible movie, but at the same time, it's not exceptional.
No, for all the resources used, it's kind of a waste. The original Wolf Creek and Wolf Creek 2.
Fun.
Yeah. If you like horror, these are bloody horror. I
like the second one better just because it is funnier.
Right.
And the next one's even going to be funnier.
Could be. I'm going to go with the original as the better one, but I saw them in that order, so Mark doesn't know what he's talking about. I
recommend seeing them in reverse.
Yes, that's what Mark says. They're both worth seeing. Final Cut, the 2012 Hungarian.
I can see that you're going to either hate or love this movie.
Right.
It's kind of a weird movie.
It
very,
is.
very simplistic.
Very dreamlike.
And I think it's entertaining in a number of different levels in that you can appreciate what they're doing,
right.
the storyline, what they're trying to do, and at the same time you laugh when odd scenes show up that you go, oh, yeah. That's.
It's a constant distraction because there's going to be somebody famous and in a scene from a movie that you love or, always wanted to see or something. It's very distracting from the story, but the story itself is very, very simple.
Very simple.
So you can follow the story.
I like
virtually no dialogue.
When they have the fight.
Right. Yeah.
It's like slap, 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 slap. It's like, holy crow. This onslaught of women getting slapped.
Yes, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yes, and all old slaps. There's no fresh violence for this movie.
No.
It's all old violence.
Yeah.
So, you recommend it?
Yeah, it's an interesting movie.
Good. I would as well. Highly recommend it. Star Trek of Gods and Men, 2007 movie.
Again, I mean, if you're not a Star Trek fan, you probably won't like it.
Yeah, no, you won't get the references. This is purely for Trekkies.
Yeah, it is so low budget, and I just thought, if they just had a decent director,
right?
They would have made it.
Yeah, a better script would have helped too.
Well, the script wasn't too bad.
Yeah, but really, it just feels very much like. This was the climax of the Trekathon weekend in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
They managed to make their movie.
At the end they show clips of the outtakes.
Yeah.
And that's fun.
Oh, of course. That's always fun.
You can see that these guys are having a ball.
I think the Star Trek outtakes were among the first that I ever saw. They would make the rounds of the science fiction conventions.
Yeah.
Here in Vancouver I used to go to when I was a kid. And we've all seen them by now where Kirk and Nurse Chapel are pretending to fall around the medical bay. And at one point he's behind her and he's clutching her boobs. And she's laughing, he's laughing, and they're pretending to throw each other around during a firefight. It's just so funny. And so there's a little of that. You can tell they were having fun while they were doing it because nobody was making the big bucks.
No, I don't think anybody made any money on this thing. Yeah.
No, probably not.
No, I think they all did it for free.
Yeah, it really looks like a
labor of love.
Labor of love.
Yeah.
And it is fun. If you like Star Trek, check out Star Trek of Gods and Men. And that's it. We're going to say so long, and thanks for listening. And Jerry says goodbye.
Do you?
I do.
Oh, well. Goodbye, Jerry.
Goodbye.